Hello and welcome back to another video of Formula One Challenge 1995. Today is race 6 of the season, the Canadian Grand Prix. So we're just about to prepare and get right into the qualifying session. If you haven't seen the previous video in Monaco, which was a very interesting race, go and check it out, or even the previous races of the season. There's been a couple of very interesting ones. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it and see where we can end up on the grid. Here we go. And here is our qualifying session. Now what I noticed straight away during the free practice that I suck on this track quite heavily. So I'm still way too used to the 85-86 layout of the track, which felt wildly different from this one, and I just could never get used to this one. So plenty of mistakes, sometimes not even finding the racing line. So at this point I was expecting a real struggle for any kind of position or for even a good place on the grid. So it's been really difficult, an absolute nightmare for me, but I just decided to go ahead and just try my best and see where it leads to. Here we go, going a bit wide in the hairpin and then just shoot after the car in front of us. This was the old pit stop, and yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, what's this? This is absolutely dangerous. Like, it just keeps dropping the car all over the place. And I was pretty sure at this point that on the race there's gonna be some massive carnage, as the AI is gonna destroy itself on this one. But yeah, we'll see about that. If not the AI, then I will destroy the car on it. And we had a lap of 1:32, which at this point is enough for P8, already P9. So yeah, definitely not a good time. I had a slightly better time on the free practice, but I was just unable to reproduce it. It probably would have been a slightly better place on the grid to start with, but yeah, we'll have to work with what we can get out of this session, as this is the one that matters. Shooting through the straight, at least something that I can get right on this track. The chicane was even a nightmare in the 80s, let alone on this one. Good old hairpin. Going wide again. And as you can see in the front, the chicane already got its first victim. Someone just absolutely wrecked the car on it. So yes, that's exactly what I'm expecting for the race as well. Because the AI is not the smartest at times, sometimes overly aggressive. Here we cut the chicane. And let's see where this time will take us. 1:32, somewhat better than the previous one. And here we are already on the grid with Michael Schumacher in P1, followed by Damon Hill in P2. Coulthard on P3, that's basically the usual lineup: Schumacher, Hill, Coulthard. Then usually Alesi or someone else. And then Herbert, who has a ticket for P5, followed by Berger on P6. Panis, another great qualifying in the Ligier P7, this time followed by his teammate Brundle on P8. Häkkinen on P9 with the McLaren, followed by his countryman Salo and the Tyrrell, so that's the two Mikas next to each other. Irvine P11, Lamy P12, that's another great result from at least one of the Minardis. Barrichello P13. Bouillon in P14. Menzel P15, he's probably still struggling to fit into his car. Gachot in P16. And Verstappen in P17, so this is the first time he managed to out-qualify us, so yeah, good job to him. Frentzen P18, Katayama on P19, the other Japanese driver Inoue on P20, Morbidelli on P21, and here we are on P22. I think that's the worst qualifying we've ever had so far. Diniz P23, Badouer P24, Montermini P25, and Moreno closes the grid on P26. So here we are ready to start the Canadian Grand Prix. Lights are in and the lights are out, and here we go. Someone got stuck on the grid. We almost hit another car, and so finally we can just go all the way on the inside up to P15. It was a very good start. We go right past Barrichello. Oh, a bit of accident there. So yeah, the carnage has already started. And we go after Bouillon, who's currently on P12, so we're up to P13 after the first few corners. And we plan to go for the move on Bouillon here. Squeeze him out, he comes back. We bump wheels and he takes back the position. So we just try to overtake him on the straight. And we're actually faster than him on the straight. So by the time we reach the chicane, we're up to P12. So that's quite a good start for the race. And we almost hit Salo. And it's yellow flag, so probably the obstacle in the front already got its first victim, but there is nothing there, so I'm not sure why that was. In the meantime, we overtake Salo and go after Irvine, who's in P10, so we're up to P11, running a bit off the track. Final chicane, cutting it a bit. And after the first lap, we're up to P11 from P22, so you can say we had a great start here. We're very close to Irvine as well. So we might even come further ahead. And we're up to P10, so someone is actually out of the race. Which is good, so we got a free position. And I assume there will be plenty more of this. And yeah, there will be a couple of mistakes, crashes. I mean, the carnage already started at the starting line right after the lights went out, so yeah, this might be actually a tough one. And we just volts past Irvine in the straight. Trying to go for a move on Häkkinen, collide with him a bit, push him out all the way to the wall. That wasn't very nice from us, but we're up to P8. And here we are after Brundle in the Ligier. Take the chicane easy. Though I was really annoyed with how it just keeps dropping the car all over the place. It's really difficult to keep control if you hit that curb there. And on lap 2 we're up to P8, right behind Martin Brundle and followed closely by Mika Häkkinen. So it seems that in the straights we can actually close the gap to Brundle. However, in the corners he seems to be faster, which is no wonder. I really struggled with this track, especially in the slower corners. That probably could have been somewhat faster, but I just didn't feel the track, so wasn't even sure what I'm actually doing. So P8 so far is actually a great result. If we can finish the race here, then I'll be happy with that. And as I've seen, there are still 24 cars in the race, which is quite a good result. That means that the chicane there with the killer curbs didn't have many victims yet, which is a good thing. So we might actually finish this race with a couple of other cars, which is cool, especially after Monaco. So Brundle keeps being within 1 second, but at this point we can't seem to be able to overtake him. So he's doing a great job. So I just hope that he's going to stuck behind whoever's in front of him. Is it one of the Ferraris? Yes, it's one of the Ferraris. I think it's Berger. So if he gets stuck behind Berger, then it might be a good chance for us to go for a move and overtake him. Yes, I wanted to go for a move here on the inside, but just backed out of it because, well, it would have been fairly dangerous. We're too far behind Brundle, so there was no space left for an overtake. And we managed to open a bit of a gap to Häkkinen, but he probably got some damage from that collision we had with him, and after that he also hit the wall, so yeah, that McLaren is not intact anymore. Here we go towards the hairpin, and yes, we go in for the move, which is a big mistake, a bit overly optimistic. So we lose a lot of positions by trying to rejoin the track, which we do right in front of Salo. So we actually only lost 2 positions. And it's Irvine again in front of us in P9. So there may still be some hope to move back farther within the top 10. At this point I don't expect any points whatsoever, so just a fight for survival, just to be able to finish the race. And we're very close to Irvine, there's no space and possibility for an overtake, so we have a look here on the inside and collide with Irvine, who just cuts the corner and goes back in the front. So yes, it's a very aggressive race. At this point we keep bumping into other cars. It's probably because I started to drive with a lot more aggression than I normally used to. I just wanted to get back to a better position ASAP, which, well, obviously involves a couple of these mistakes and collisions where I just try to go for moves in a more optimistic way, like this one, trying to overtake from very deep, and Irvine just pushes us out, tries to push us into the wall. So yeah, we're having a massive beef with him over here, and we're through the chicane and over to Irvine, so we're back to P9, and it's Häkkinen in front of us with more than 2 seconds ahead. So it's gonna be a fair amount of work. We just cut through the chicane because we came in too fast. So yeah, that's what I meant by sometimes not even finding the racing line, not even the braking distance. So yeah, I'm struggling a lot, as you can see, with the car, with the track. It's just definitely not one of my favorite tracks, though I really love this track in the 80s. It's been one of my favorites actually until we go off the track again. It's good that the game doesn't really give any penalties for this one, because at this point I probably would have gotten a couple of seconds for cutting the track and just going over the grass. Which also means Häkkinen built the gap back, what we closed before. So he's still more than 2 seconds ahead, and Irvine is within half a second, which we can extend a bit here in the straight and just go into the hairpin, this time a lot more carefully than before. There we go, and up towards the killer curbs. drops the car again, almost dropped it into the wall. And we actually closed about half the gap we had to Häkkinen, so we might be able to catch up with him eventually. We'll just see about that. He seems to be slightly faster in the straights. We can catch up to him in the corners, as you can see. Going a little bit wider, so he gets the better exit of the corner and just pulls away. And this time we get it relatively right, we don't go off the track. We go off the track here. And it's getting very, very dark, so I expect a bit of rain happening pretty soon, which might actually be good for us with all the tire changes. Again, running off the track in the chicane. As you can see, these chicanes are just absolute killers, and just, well, I just can't get them right. Slowly to the killer curbs. Again, drops the car. Schumacher in P1, followed by Hill in P2, Herbert up to P3. He's doing a great job again. Alesi in P4, Panis P5, that's an amazing result from the Ligier, followed by Berger, Brundle, Häkkinen, and then us in P9. And behind us, Irvine, Salo, Lamy, Bouillon, Barrichello, Coulthard. What is Coulthard doing down in P15 though? Well, I'm afraid we'll never know. Might have had a forced pit stop. Katayama P16. Well, that's about it so far. Yeah, Verstappen, Montagnini. There's actually still plenty of cars in the race, which is, well, a bit unexpected. I wasn't expecting, especially after the carnage at the start, I wasn't expecting still so many cars in the race. And we make a huge mistake again, out of the track, just cut through in the wall. Yeah, at this point I started to give up on the race. I lost all composure. So I was just trying to recompose and just try to survive. And as you can see, I'm actually cheating a little with changing the brake bias while on the go, just to give a little bit of a better grip to the car, because I feel like I'm just sliding off the corners. But at this point we're still on P9, which is not too bad compared to our starting grid position. So there is still a reason to be a bit more optimistic. Unless I keep going off the track like this, because then there will be no reason to be optimistic. And Irvine is very, very close now, and Häkkinen just walked away in the distance, more than 6 seconds ahead. So right now we're fighting Irvine to keep the position. He doesn't go for the move. At this point I just try to not leave enough space for him to go for the moves. At some point I'll have to. And as you can see in the mirror, we're building quite a train here. So yeah, this is the kind of obstacle we are at the moment for the others. But now the car is damaged and I struggle with the track, and all that comes together, tire wear kicks in. So at this point it starts to get really, really difficult. Here we go again. Survive the killer curbs. And started to open up a gap to Irvine as well. which is pretty good. So now we get a bit of breathing space. Häkkinen is massively ahead of us with 8 seconds. We run off the track again. At this point, the tires were gone, so yeah, you can't even expect anything else, just sliding all over the place. Yeah, I can't even keep the car on the track anymore. So I think it's time to go for that pit stop and just get a fresh set of tires, and I'll just keep rolling whatever happens. And onto the killer curves. Oh no, that's not that part yet. Yeah, so this is how much grip we have left. Just can't really do anything. Again, a bit of damage to the car. So yeah, this is where it started to get difficult. Very slow into the hairpin. I was actually afraid to push it towards the killer curbs. And we spin out. And well, I couldn't do reverse gear for whatever reason. So yeah, I just gave up because the gearing just died. And as you can see, Schumacher, Herbert, Coulthard, how did he do that though? Berger, Panis, Häkkinen, Frentzen, Blundell, that should be Mansell. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in next Grand Prix in France. Goodbye.